This is an EWB production. Hi, I'm Emmy Birch.
And I am Sandy Thornton, and this is the Take Us With You podcast.
Hey, Sandy, what's the Take Us With You podcast all about?
So glad you asked. In a sea of badness coming out of every news station, let's provide some light, laughter, and levity to this strange time we are living in.
I'm so glad that we're going to be going with you wherever it is you're going. Thanks for taking us with you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Take Us With You podcast. My name is Emmy.
And my name is Sandy.
And today we have a very special guest, our first interview.
I feel like we've arrived in life. So today we'd love to introduce you to the one, the only, the amazing Bree Seeley. Bree, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
We are really glad to have you with us. Thank you for taking time out of your day to chit chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited that this is really cool. You guys are doing this.
We always start with like a check-in. So how is everybody doing? How is your week going?
So far, so good. It's no longer the tundra in Cincinnati. We have, I always call it the February thaw. And so growing up in New York, right around this time every February, it would stop being negative 20 degrees and it would be 40 degrees. And all of the New Yorkers would stop bundling up and wear tank tops and short shorts and go out and play. And we're in that right now in Cincinnati. So there's like really dirty snow all over the place. It's adorable. How about you?
We hit 70 yesterday and today. It's great. We're lovely. It's really sunny. As you can see, my eyes are watering because I forgot to close the blinds. It's exceptionally bright at this time of day in the room. Bree, where are you?
So I'm in, North Hollywood specifically, but Los Angeles technically or whatever. So yeah, so we also have very warm weather. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but it's, yeah, thinking about Ohio weather because that's where I'm from.
Right?
I actually can't remember the last time I was in the presence of snow.
I love that memory. That's great. I don't remember the last time I was in the presence of snow. Same girl, same.
Because yeah, I feel like the past times I've gone home to visit my parents, it's like melted by the time I got there. And then yeah, I went to college in Savannah, Georgia. So
you went to SCAD.
I did go to SCAD, yeah.
I live right next door to the design building, and they just built a brand new fashion design. I should say fashion design. They just built a brand new second building for the fashion school, and it's gorgeous. If you haven't been here in the last couple years, it looks so good.
That's awesome. Yeah, then I know exactly where you are right now. I miss Savannah so much. It's like really like my favorite place in the world. So
yay, well, come back anytime. So for the people listening, what do you do? How did you get from Ohio to Savannah to LA?
I've always had an interest in various types of creative arts. You know, I know Sandy she was my choir teacher. I think I first met her when I was maybe like 11 or something like that.
That is the truth. So, I taught your 7th grade girls chorus.
Yes. So I remember when I was very small. And so I did a lot of like singing and theater and stuff, but I also was really interested in visual art. And that was the kind of thing that when I got a little older and I sort of learned about, okay, there are actually ways that you can do this for a career. You know, like as a kid, you just think about like artists who do painting, which that does still exist. I really liked animated films and TV shows and stuff like that. And then, you know, when you get old enough to come to the realization that people make those, then you're like, oh, okay, that's something that I would love to do. So in high school, just kind of researching different colleges with strong animation programs. And actually, I think my mom found SCAD and brought it to my attention.
That was awesome, by the way. I'm just going to cut in and just gush for a minute because Bree and her entire family. They are one of my favorite families, probably on the planet. She has an amazing sister named Beth. And then her mom and dad are just such hip, awesome, awesome people. And sorry, go on. I just wanted to say that.
It's okay. Yeah, my family's awesome. Yeah, so then when we went down to visit SCAD, just like literally stepping out of the car, I was like, this is the most magical place that I've ever seen. And yeah, and I really loved spending 4 years of my life there. And yeah, so I majored in animation. I got a BFA. And I knew that I was kind of interested more in the pre-production side of animation, so kind of like all the work that goes in ahead of time, you know, like designing the characters and that sort of stuff. And what I really became fascinated in while I was there was background design, like for 2D animation, because I think, you know, when I was younger and stuff, you think about 3D, like Disney movies and stuff
Well,
are the big thing right now.
and when you were, I think, kind of coming up, that's the big deal. Like that was the big deal. So I come from the era of 2D, right? And
Yeah, so that was like a huge boom.
yeah,
But there's still, in television at least, there's still a lot of 2D stuff in television, and you know, people are still making backgrounds for those for the characters to move across, and that's, you know, basically just digital illustrating, which is what I really love to do. So yeah, I graduated SCAD, and there's kind of, I feel like when you want to work in animation and you're in North America, generally you're like, I'm gonna move to Los Angeles or Atlanta, or I feel like if you get a job, you could maybe go to Vancouver in Canada. But my very amazing older sister was already living in Los Angeles. And I feel like there's a lot more, like Atlanta is really awesome, but I just felt like there was slightly more opportunity in LA. So then here I came.
So you moved to LA with your sister?
No, she had been out here for 2 years. So she came out when she graduated college. And then 2 years later, I drove out here with my parents literally like the day after graduation.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
So did you work in the animation school that's down on River Street, the one that has all the music and animated stuff in there, like it's off of Indian Street. Is that where you took
Uh,
animation classes?
no, the animation building for SCAD is like way kind of back in the middle of nowhere almost. Like that's one that you actually do have to kind of drive to
Oh,
get
it's
to.
the gray one that's down in the other side of
Yes, it's the big, ugly, gray square
They have
building.
great running routes to get out there and to hang out around and then run back to downtown. But yes, that is in the boondocks. That was a
It
far
really is.
trek.
Yep, it really is.
so I guess I don't know much about SCAD. I always think that like because Savannah is this like beautiful picturesque area, I just think it's all contained. But I guess that's
That's
not
like a 2 by 2 mile radius.
okay. So I don't know things. Okay.
So SCAD is very spread out. One of the things that's kind of special about SCAD is their historic preservation major. That's kind of a rare thing to have at design schools, but that's a big deal for them. So SCAD will like buy old buildings, restore them, restore the outside to like what they would have looked like, but then the inside will be like super weird and artsy, and they'll use it for classes.
Oh, cool.
They've totally changed Savannah. Savannah was destroyed in the 70s and 80s. There was tons of gun violence and gangs, and
Really?
scat is a big reason that, I mean, we can ask Paula to be on the show sometime, when we make it big.
I'm
I'll
sure
give
she
her a
would
call.
do it. I'm sure she would love to talk about it in her book and all of that stuff.
It's like they just hit their 40th anniversary or something a year ago or something, 2 years
I
ago.
think so.
It's a beautiful campus. I run through it all the time. It's
Yeah.
all over. It literally.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, so we have buildings literally all over
Okay.
the city. But yeah, one of the things I loved about Savannah is that it's very walkable. So my apartment was on Abercorn and Lincoln.
Yeah.
I could go pretty much wherever I wanted to go.
One of my favorite running roads too. Lincoln is awesome because there's a big bike lane and you can kind of pretend to be a bike/pedestrian and watch out for the bikes. It's great. It's bright
Yeah.
green, so nobody will miss you.
Mhm.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So Bree, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing in LA now. So you're the
Um, so what I'm doing right now, is I'm actually working for a company that teaches art classes around, like we have 17 different studios around the city. Um, and yeah, it's really cool. We teach more kind of like fine art to kids. Well, we have adult classes too, but I teach children's classes. So from age like 5 to 13.
Oh, I bet they love you.
It's really fun. I've always really, really loved children and working with kids and stuff. So I'm very much enjoying that I've found like a creative job because I also get trained in all of the things that we're teaching. So like my own art skills have improved, and then like getting to just hang out with kids is actually really fun. But yeah, so we start them off with like sketching basics and stuff. For the really little kids, it's kind of more like, here's a drawing of a dog, and then we'll work through that together. The older kids get to do like, live drawing of like bottles and props and all that. And then we teach them watercolor. And our big focus, though, is oil painting, which is really fun because I had never done oil painting before starting to work here. So getting trained in how to do that has been really awesome.
That is so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So
And
I'm gonna go ahead. I was gonna say I'm gonna share my screen because I think seeing this beautiful artwork that you made for us, if you're watching this on
ah,
YouTube, this is
so
our
fun.
newly updated cover logo for the pod.
Yeah, so
Design.
friends, this is the big surprise that I posted about. So, not only is just Bree a fabulous human and artist, she has been working with Emmy and I over the last few weeks to create new art for us. And there it is. And I love looking like a cartoon. It makes me so happy.
I know I love that. I just want to do 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 do. I
Well, I
love it. It's
liked
perfect.
the ideas that you guys had because yeah, I think the Bewitched style of it is super cute, but then also the kind of like road trip. You brought up Thelma and Louise,
Yes,
so then, and I love this kind of like landscape too, and so yeah,
it's so great.
I'm
And
liking this one.
the thing is, like, my favorite, my happy place is probably the desert, which is, I don't know why I live in Ohio because I love all things Arizona and desert. And like, you captured everything so beautifully. And I love the colors. And you made us look like amazing cartoons that actually look like us.
Crazy. I just love that the possibilities are endless. Like neither one of us live anywhere near a desert, but you
No,
never know what we're gonna do when you take us with you.
Yeah.
that's
So well, you did a great job capturing it. How did you start with these? Like, does this all start in a computer program? Do you sketch it out first? What's your process?
So my process is pretty much primarily on the computer now. Like I still have sketchbooks that I'll turn to when I want. And like, especially now that I've done like watercolor and stuff, I'm going back to traditional a little bit more frequently. Um, but yeah, usually I'll just pop open a Photoshop file and do my sketching in there. And so, yeah, for that, I think I, just started by looking up, yeah, landscapes of Arizona. I think, yeah, I looked up Monument Valley in Arizona, and just kind of sketched out and pulled up some stills from Bewitched to sort of figure out, like the poses and the shapes that you guys would be, um, pulling up a car for reference and, just kind of compiling it all together. And so, yeah, I start with a messy sketch and then I'll, change the opacity to 50% to lighten it up. And then I just draw like on top of that.
That's really cool. What a fun process. So, some rapid fire questions. Now that we know a little bit about Bree, we are going to ask you some of the random things that we have talked about in episode 1 through 5.
and this is
So,
my favorite thing. Yes. All right. Do you want me to start?
yeah, you should go first because it relates to Savannah and Girl Scout cookies.
Okay. So on one of our first episodes, we really waxed poetic about things that the world seemingly loves that we can't stand. And I feel like I always bring up Girl Scout cookies. I just kind of don't need them in my life, even though everybody else like loses their mind whenever it's Girl Scout season. So Bree, what is something that you really don't like that everybody else is like, what? This is amazing.
So I have actually a really good answer to this because I've never met another person who feels this way. And this is something that is kind of like universally well liked. I do not like the sound of rain. Ever since I was a little kid, it just makes me anxious and uncomfortable, which is like the polar opposite of what it does for everyone else, apparently.
Yeah, like
Every
it's
night I fall asleep to the rain sound
I
on the
know
sound machine.
Mhm.
it's kind of it's soothing. But honestly, it's interesting that you bring that up, because like my kids can't stand it. Kieran, my oldest son, especially, whenever it's a rainstorm at night, he cannot sleep. And I think it's for the same reasons. It
Yeah,
really
it's not really like the like thunder or anything, but just like the repetitive like tapping that can be like very loud just feels, I don't know,
Huh.
overwhelming to me. And then yeah, like I get the whole like, oh, you want to like stay inside and be all cuddly, but most of the time you can't. Like I have to go out and do stuff, and so now I'm gonna get wet and gross and uncomfortable. Rain makes bugs want to come into your house, and I just don't like it.
Look, these are all really good. So, rain sound. All
Mhm.
right. Along those same lines, we had an episode where we talked about something that you think is totally normal, but everyone else thinks is totally strange, like my obsession with running marathons. Like 1% of the population thinks the same way as I do on that.
Mhm.
Sandy parks in the same aisle every single time that she
I
goes
did
to
it
Kroger.
today. I did it today. I went to Kroger today and I was like, I gotta find my aisle. And that's what I did.
So, what is something that you do that you think is totally normal, but other people might be like, that's weird?
I don't know. I feel like there's probably a million weird things that I do, but one thing recently that comes to mind is a friend of mine looked at me completely like I was a Martian because my messages app on my phone, I have it in a folder instead of like on the dock underneath. But like I have a messages folder, so it's in there with like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and stuff.
Okay.
But just thought that that was
So you keep all
strange.
your methods of communication
One
compiled
folder.
in one thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to have everything in a folder. I have, like the phone call button down in the dock, but not the actual messages.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if that's weird. You thought it was
No, that
very
is that counts. So the next question aligns really well to that one. Do you have any specific routines that you adhere to that help you move through your day and create beautiful artwork and have creative moments that you would want to share? Like, I love my Google Calendar and it's color coded, and Sandy makes lists.
Melissa Maker.
I am a big fan of lists. Yeah, so I try and keep myself like well organized. I love my like weekly planner. I just got one that has like literally every hour, or no, I think it's every half hour of the day listed out so that you can write stuff down. So that's really awesome. But more it's like I have to make sure that I'm like in the right mindset and that I have like a good start to my morning. So like if I make sure to get up at a good time and like get a shower and everything, then I'll feel ready to start. And one thing that I got like once we were deep into quarantine and everything is I got one of those lamps that like acts as like faux sunlight.
Sun lamp. Yes.
A hatch. I have a
It
hatch.
has been so helpful because
Game
my
changer.
body wants to sleep. It would sleep all day if it could. So that has been really helpful just as like a mood boost and to help like regulate my sleeping schedule.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yes. All right, Sandy, your turn for a
Okay.
question.
So our real final question is, do you have a particular song that when you listen to it, it makes you feel like you can take on the world? It pumps you up.
Absolutely, I do. And that song is Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship, formerly Jefferson Starship, formerly Airplane.
Okay, so 80s song, right? And a friend of mine just turned the big 4-0 and she goes, okay, I'm going to make an 80s pump up list. And that was the one that I recommended to her.
That song sounds like what glitter looks like. And
Yeah.
that's why it is my favorite song.
And
Uh,
glitter is a strategy. In case you had forgotten, glitter is a strategy.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'm going to pull that quote out and make a Canva post to go entire interview. That was fabulous.
That was perfect.
Fine.
we're at that 20-minute mark. Do you have anything
Ah,
else you want to say? Because I'm guessing whoever's listening is where they're supposed to be going, and they've taken us with them.
truth. The only other thing I would ask, Bree, if anybody that's listening to this podcast wanted to check out your art and the things that you create, is there a place in particular that they can go to see it?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram, my handle is at Seeley Scribbles. That's Seeley. And my website is the same thing. So SeeleyScribbles.com.
I'll put it in the episode notes. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks for being our first interview, Bree, and for our gorgeous new artwork. I can't wait to release it.
Yeah, I'm so glad I was able to do that for you guys.
Thank you. This has been such a treat today. Thank you for taking time out to take us with you.